Keith Tebow from FRCMedia, thank you for joining us today. We've spent a lot of time on FRCMedia talking about the impacts of COVID-19. And, even though a lot of the state and our region has been really stymied in terms of progress, there have been a number of projects that have been moving forward. And one of them, something we haven't got an update on in quite a while, is SouthCoast Rail. So we want to provide an update for you today on SouthCoast Rail, not only in Fall River, but the entire region. I'm pleased to be joined by Jean Fox. She is the project manager from the Mass Department of Transportation for SouthCoast Rail. Jean, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great, Keith. Thank you for having me. What a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've talked SouthCoast Rail. And, before we get to some things that I think people, especially in the north end of Fall River, may actually be seeing in terms of progress, let me just ask you generally, when COVID hit back in March, a lot of things came to a halt. How did the pandemic impact the SouthCoast Rail project, if at all?
The good news is de minimis. We absolutely had to stop everything and develop safety protocols. We had people in the field when the governor shut us down, and rightfully so. It was a good move, but our field people needed to have all the tools they needed to make sure that safety was their top priority. So they were doing culverts, they're still out there doing bridges, they're doing clearing, things like that. But now we have very strict protocols. In terms of our contracts getting out, absolutely nothing. Most of us working from home have been able to stay on top of getting the documents together, getting them out the door, and getting in front of the board virtually for votes. So we're in good shape.
Just reading on the website, and people can get updates, of course, on the Mass DOT website, part of mass.gov. You can get updates on SouthCoast Rail. That's where I got my information. I said, oh, it's time to call Jean and get an update. There's been a lot of work being done, specifically in Fall River, with really a couple of sites in Fall River. There's the layover area that is Weaver's Cove area, and then of course the depot location. So what are people seeing right now, Jean, if they're out and about? They're actually seeing some construction work, right?
The first major construction contract that went out was the Fall River secondary line, which is why you are seeing this activity. We also had a lot of work in the area with, again, the culverts. There were a lot of culverts done in Fall River. And there was soil moving. So we have a big soil moving protocol, and we have to fill at Weaver's Cove. So we're taking soil from other areas and putting it over there. We're doing all the environmental buffering right now because obviously living where we are, there are a lot of wetlands, and we need to be vigilant in terms of protecting those. So what you're also seeing, and you have seen, is some minor track and tie replacements, but you're going to see a lot more as the fall progresses and into next year. There'll be a great deal of activity, and it's actually all related now to that contract that has been let. And it was officially let in June. And the second notice to proceed, and that's a COVID thing. The first notice to proceed was make sure you have all your safety protocols in place. We want them documented, approved, and signed. And then we'll allow you the second notice to proceed, which allows you to get in the field. They have that.
So, I want to talk a little bit about, the projected depot. I'm showing right now a map of the area, and to the top of the screen, that's actually where the rail lines are, and to the south, I guess the closest would be Duval Street immediately to the south, right? So that's how the map will look. And now I'm displaying what is a photo rendering, if you will, a drawing of the depot. It's something that is something that a lot of people may not have seen. It's really a tangible look at what this is going to look like, and that's going to be exciting for not only you but maybe the people of Fall River as well, right?
It's super exciting for me because I think Keith, I've been doing this for an awful long time. And it took us forever just to get through all of the environmental review, the MEPA and NEPA processes, which is probably totally alien to most people, but that's the permitting process. When we got through that, and thankfully we got to the point where we had money set aside, COVID, albeit out there, we had money absolutely allocated for SouthCoast Rail. So to know that what you're looking at in that station design is a final 100% design, and the way we're going to proceed is extremely exciting. The other thing for North Fall River, which may be of interest, is right down the road in Assonet is a secondary station, which will be very helpful for people who don't want to go into the depot. And the third thing folks should know is that Route 79 work is going to be progressing. So the boulevard between Memorial Bridge and the Spaghetti Ramp Braga Bridge project will open up economic development activities by clearing some land and then lowering the roadway so that there's a direct access into the depot.
So I guess, my next question for people in Fall River who may be seeing some of this activity, both at the depot site, which is, just south of President Avenue, correct?
Duval and Pier.
Yeah, right. But it's south of President Avenue, and if you know the main thoroughfares of Fall River, and then up near Weaver's Cove. I guess construction is going to be going on for a good part of a couple of years, correct? There.
They'll be seeing activity into 2023, which is when most of the testing and commissioning work will be happening. But up until that point, you're going to see a lot of work along the right-of-way. So the tracks, there's a lot of bridges on the Fall River line too. So there will be some impacts there. But yeah, the next few years, we're going to be very, very busy. But I like to remind people of when we started the Spaghetti Ramp project, we said it's going to be 3 very difficult years. Please be patient. In the final analysis, you're going to love it. And true to form, that's exactly what happened. So I'm hoping for people's patience and understanding as we finally get what we so deserve in this region, and that is a reconnected rail line to Boston.
So let me just ask you, the initial, phase one would be that this would be sometime 2023. Is that still a realistic timeline? Has COVID impacted that at all? A little bit? Do you know?
We may have seen a little slippage, but very minor at this point. We're still targeting the end of 2023. Mother Nature does things that can impact construction projects. This is a very large linear project, so there could be. But, our goal and the governor's goal, frankly, is to get this thing done by the end of 2023, which is probably a Herculean task, but it's not something that cannot be done with the right people working it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Again, it's something that's been talked about for so long, and now we're starting to see the tangible results of it, right? The construction. And that's why we wanted to get in touch with you to get an update. Gene Fox from SouthCoast Rail, the project manager, Mass Department of Transportation. Thank you for joining us for the update, and we'll touch base again soon. Thank you.